She was alone, exhausted, and trapped by 4 violent thugs at a dark gas station. No one was coming to help. No one even looked her way. Then the ground started shaking, and 15 motorcycles rolled in like thunder. The midnight air hung thick and heavy over the fluorescent glow of the 24-hour gas station, casting long shadows across empty concrete islands. The hum of electric lights mixed with the occasional whoosh of passing cars on the distant highway, creating a soundtrack of urban loneliness. In this forgotten corner of the city, where darkness pressed against the edges of artificial light, a moment was about to unfold that would shake the very ground beneath tired feet. A woman stood alone at Pump 7, her hands trembling as she squeezed the last drops of fuel into her aging sedan. Her name was Lisa Matthews, a single mother running on empty in more ways than one, and she had no idea that the next 15 minutes would change everything she thought she knew about strangers. Danger and salvation. Before this story takes you deeper into the night, pause here for just a moment. If you believe in protection for the vulnerable, in strangers becoming guardians, and in the raw power of people standing up against cruelty, please like this video. Share it with someone who needs to remember that good still exists in dark places, and subscribe to Untold Kindness Journey. Your support keeps these stories alive, reminding the world that heroes still walk among us, often wearing leather and riding thunder. Lisa's day had been a marathon of survival, long before she pulled into that gas station. Her double shift at County General Hospital had drained every ounce of energy from her body. Her scrubs still carried the smell of antiseptic and exhaustion. Her 2 little girls were at home with Mrs. Patterson from next door, a 70-year-old angel who charged half what she should because she knew Lisa was drowning. The check engine light in her car had been glowing for 3 weeks, a problem she couldn't afford to fix. Her ex-husband's child support checks had stopped coming 6 months ago, leaving her to carry the weight of 2 lives on shoulders that already bore too much. Life had carved deep shadows beneath her eyes, but there was still steel in her spine, the kind only mothers fighting impossible battles possess. As she stood under the harsh lights, watching the numbers on the pump climb while calculating how much food she could buy with what remained in her account, she felt the familiar weight of being alone in a world that didn't pause for tired hearts. The gas station was nearly deserted, just her car and a few others scattered across the lot like forgotten toys. The attendant was locked behind bulletproof glass, unreachable, uninvolved. That's when they appeared. 4 men emerged from the shadows near the convenience store entrance, their voices cutting through the quiet night like broken glass. They weren't locals. Their swagger spoke of something darker, something predatory. Tattoos crawled up their necks. Their clothes hung loose and threatening, and their eyes held the vacant cruelty of men who had long ago stopped seeing other people as human. They moved with the confidence of wolves spotting prey separated from the pack. One kicked an empty bottle across the concrete, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the stillness. Another one spotted Lisa, and his grin spread slow and dangerous across his face. Their entertainment had just arrived. They circled closer, their boots scraping against pavement, their laughter low and menacing. Comments flew from their mouths like poison, mocking her worn-out clothes, her dented car, the bags under her eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and endless worry. One reached out and grabbed the strap of her purse, yanking it hard enough to pull her off balance. Another blocked her path to the driver's door, his body a wall between her and safety. The third one leaned against her car, running his hand along the hood as if claiming ownership of something that never belonged to him. Their leader stepped so close, she could smell alcohol on his breath, his words filthy and threatening, stripping away her dignity piece by piece. Lisa's heart hammered against her ribs, adrenaline flooding her system with nowhere to go. She clutched her keys between her fingers, a pathetic weapon against 4 grown men who saw her fear and fed on it like sharks tasting blood in water. She glanced toward the attendant booth, but the person inside deliberately looked away, unwilling to get involved, choosing safety over courage. Her thoughts flew to her daughters, sleeping peacefully at home, unaware their mother was trapped in a nightmare. She couldn't scream. She couldn't run. She could barely breathe. The thugs' voices rose, emboldened by her silence, by her trembling hands, by the absence of anyone willing to intervene. And then, as if the universe heard her silent prayer, the rumble began. At first it was distant, like thunder rolling across mountains, but it grew closer, louder, impossible to ignore. The thugs paused, their attention fractured by the sound that seemed to shake the very ground beneath their feet. Lisa turned her head toward the highway entrance, and her breath caught in her throat. Rolling in like an approaching storm were motorcycles, at least 15 of them, their headlights cutting through darkness like search beams, their engines roaring with a primal power that made the air vibrate. They moved in formation, a synchronized force of chrome and leather, each bike a beast of metal and thunder. These weren't just bikers. They were the Iron Brotherhood, a riding club known across 3 states for their code, their loyalty, and their absolute intolerance for anyone who preyed on the weak. Their leader dismounted first, a man whose presence commanded immediate attention without saying a single word. Silver streaked through his long hair and beard, his face weathered by decades of roads conquered, and storms weathered. His eyes swept across the scene in an instant, reading everything that mattered. The thugs' bravado evaporated like steam in winter air. Their hands dropped from Lisa, their feet shuffled backward, their earlier menace replaced by pathetic panic. The bikers said nothing. They simply formed a wall of leather and muscle between Lisa and danger, their silence more terrifying than any threat could have been. The leader stepped forward, his boots heavy against concrete, and looked at the thugs with an expression that promised consequences words could never capture. Within seconds, the 4 men scrambled toward their car, tripping over their own feet in their desperation to escape. Doors slammed, an engine roared to life, and tires squealed as they fled into the night they'd crawled from. Lisa's knees threatened to give out, the rush of terror colliding with overwhelming relief. The bikers remained where they were, ensuring the threat was truly gone. Then the leader turned to her, and what she saw in his eyes wasn't pity. It was respect. One of the bikers quietly pulled bills from his wallet, pressing them into her hand with a nod. Another checked under her hood, topping off fluids she couldn't afford to replace. They worked without ceremony, without needing thanks, their actions speaking louder than words ever could. Tears spilled down Lisa's face, not from fear anymore, but from the overwhelming kindness she never expected to receive from strangers who owed her nothing. The engines roared again as the Brotherhood prepared to leave. Before mounting his bike, the leader looked at her one last time, his words simple but carrying the weight of a promise. "Keep fighting. You're stronger than you know." Then, with a thunderous chorus, they rolled out, disappearing into the night like guardian angels, returning to wherever angels go when their work is done.